So for my male character, I wanted him to be a sporty boy, the typical love interest who's going to be funny and smart, but also I wanted him to be really empathetic and perceptive. So I do want to focus on his character development as well, because as both characters get to know each other, they will help each other with their own problems and insecurities. So he's also going to have some character development, unlike some male love interests. And I also want him to be a good role model. I see that sometimes male love interests, such as Hardin Scott, for example, in After, are definitely not good male role models, but I did want my character to be one. So my divorced mother, so she has just gotten remarried, and I did want her to be a really strong and independent woman. She isn't having her midlife crisis. I want her to have her life together and to be also a good model for mothers. And the mother-daughter relationship that I'm portraying, they're not going to be either best friends, idealized relationship, nor villains. So quite an antagonistic relationship. I wanted it to be quite balanced and the least artificial possible. Of course, their relationship is going to develop as a secondary part of the play and as the character development of Summer also happens. And finally, the romantic relations. So I wanted to focus on the communication and the empathy between the characters to convey a healthy relationship. So I wanted to have a emotional depth instead of having a cute montage of artificial cuteness to convey the closeness between the characters as we see so often nowadays. For example, in the third movie for To All the Boys I've Loved Before. Here I didn't want to do this. I wanted to focus on the communication and the empathy. So this is it for my first question. I'm going to be moving on to my second question. How does your product engage with audiences, and how would it be distributed as a real media text? So, firstly, who is my target audience? So, it's mainly going to be a teenage female audience. It could be slightly older or younger, so from 11 to 22 years old, but the focus will be a teenage female audience. Of course, because the male character is also quite um, has quite a lot of depth to him. It could also appeal to boys, but strictly in the teen romance genre, the male audience is teenage girls. So, using Prezi, I have created a target audience poster, which I also posted on the blog, which is basically here it uses a word cloud, which I also use in this presentation. And basically, what I want to convey here is that my target audience is mainly teenage girls, mostly upper and middle class, which is stereotypically common in the cinema audience and the romance audience. And this appeals to a multicultural Western society. I don't want to specify ethnicity because I know that in this multicultural Western society, of course, there are many races and many cultures living together. And especially in the teenage environment, everybody kind of watches the same films regardless of ethnicity. I feel like these barriers are breaking down in some aspects. And also, in terms of the psychographics, my audience will have a simple lifestyle, worried about family, friends, romance, their insecurities. So they might be seeking something deeper than cliche, something relatable. So I'm talking about the identification purpose of the Blumler and Kat's profile. So also to now focusing on how I engaged with my audience. I engaged with my audience through social media. So, first of all, I created a YouTube channel for my holographic pictures production company where I posted some of the analysis video. However, to make it as interactive as possible, I had an Instagram account where I had some followers, I had some posts, 18, and I focused on the highlights and on the stories to post updates, also to post every single time that I posted something new on the blog, I would post a story to tell my audience, have a look at this as a new part of the development of the film. I posted my logo, the different posters that I made specifically for social media, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, and especially, yeah, the highlights of the stories, posting updates about how the progress was coming together. And basically, to keep the buzz going about my film, to keep my audience hooked, and to provide them with this exclusive content, which I have here.